Testing. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. Hi, Eric, we're just waiting for quorum. We just need one more.
How many we need? 5?
Yeah. Corey said he's coming, so maybe I'll send him a note.
Strategic document we have.
Thanks, Eric.
We built that and we.
Let me know if you can hear me. We're just waiting on quorum.
Issue is just acknowledged. So the staff were upset, everyone was just upset. So we started our first.
Just a test. Can you hear me now?
Hi, Eric, we didn't hear you.
Yeah,
I was talking. The camera is off for the room. If you wanna, I'll turn it on. Can you see us?
Yeah, I
Maybe
was
say
just,
something, see if I can hear you.
can you hear me now? No?
Let me turn the volume. Oh, volume's up as high as it can go. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Maybe use the chat. Can you see us at least? Again, we can't hear you. Okay, now we can see you. You can see and hear me. Okay. I don't know if I can hear you if you want to test that out.
Can you hear me now? No?
No. Can't hear you.
Uh,
I did test the sound earlier, so I don't know if it's on my end.
how about now?
Let me see here.
No?
Yeah, I just got an email, so I can hear things. I just can't hear you. But I guess you could call in, and then have the visual. There's a phone number you could call on your mobile. If that, we're just waiting on quorum here still. I'm just gonna mute myself. Just waiting on quorum. Okay, very good. Okay, so we have quorum.
Okay, thank you. So call this meeting to order. It is 12:13 PM according to the computer screen I'm looking at. And I do acknowledge with respect that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory and that the land in which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawatang. And Bawatang is home to Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of minutes from our last meeting. So I do need a mover and a seconder for adoption of those minutes. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Mark. Any discussion, changes, additions, deletions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of those minutes, that is carried. Anyone with a declaration of pecuniary interest today on today's agenda? Being none. All right, so now we need to adopt our agenda for today. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Eric. Any additions, changes to today's agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of our agenda for today, that is carried. Thank you. All right, so the first item on our agenda is the selection of the chair and vice chair for our committee. We are in the final year of ourselves as a group, as the city's environmental sustainability committee. So I'm going to ask Emily to take over that responsibility, as we currently now do not have a chair and vice chair until we so appoint one as a group.
So as a reminder, per the terms of reference of the Environmental Sustainability Committee, we every year commence with an election of a chair and a vice chair for the year. We are one of the few committees of council that has a 4-year term, and this is the final year of this group, as Donna mentioned. We've been working together for 4 years. It's an election year. So whenever there's an election, committees are open to be reapplied for. If you've been on the committee, you're welcome to apply again. As we all know, we've been on this for a while. I don't need to go over the responsibilities of what we do here. But I did send an email out to the committee asking for interest from committee members who might be open to being in the chair position or the vice chair. I did not receive any, but I know that there is interest from our chair and vice chair to continue on if there was no other interest. So for the chair position, I will read forward a motion that resolve that Donna Hilsinger be appointed as chair for the 2026 Environmental Sustainability Committee. And for that, I will need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Andre, thank you. And Eric, all in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And then I also had interest from Mark again to be our vice chair. So resolve that Mark Britton be appointed as the vice chair for the 2026 Environmental Sustainability Committee. Can I have a mover for that, please? Okay, I see Donna and Andre. Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, perfect. Donna, back over to you for the chair role.
Thank you, thank you.
Put in there, but for the table.
Yes, a request for pay increases from all of us are denied. We don't need to move or second that or even discuss it. Okay, so,
We're getting double, right?
double. All right, so, the first item on our agenda is, it's item 7, or the next item, I should say, is item 7. And it is an update on, the letter, that we most recently sent, to the mayor and, to the mayor. Just to remind everyone, so we did, and I might need Emily's help with this because it's been a few things, but we did send a letter originally requesting a meeting. I believe this was back in the summer at some point or late, maybe August. We did request a meeting with the mayor to discuss priorities and focus on environmental sustainability. We did receive a letter back. I believe it was in the beginning, late October or November, which did not speak to our request for a meeting and said, and that letter was shared at our last meeting, so I won't get into all the details of it. We discussed that as a group, and I wrote a follow-up letter to that, asking once again for a meeting. And I did share that letter for comments with everyone before I sent it. And I did get some feedback from a couple of people, which I tried my best to incorporate into a one-page letter, trying to keep it on the leaner side. But I did use people's ideas, and I did send that letter around. It looks like it went around the end of November. We were looking for a meeting to discuss these items prior to budget deliberations. We have not yet had a response to that letter, and budget deliberations were the first week or second week of December. So, comments, feedback?
Did you get a response?
No, there has been no response. So, I'm looking for direction. Do you have any suggestions? It's unfortunate that Councillor Gardy isn't here today because he was very supportive of the letter and helped us pen the letter, which was great. We can simply, send something else that says, please respond, or.
Yeah. But what accountability on their end is it to respond?
Well, I believe that there, I don't know if there's a policy, in fairness, Mark, that the city has that says, you're required to communicate with your city formed committees that are sharing information, and looking to further together your agenda.
Yep.
There's, the formality of that. And then frankly, I would say there's the respect of a response period, like just because we think it's important to recognize when people are charged with a responsibility and take that responsibility very seriously and try their best to forward, to pursue the terms and the mandate of the committee and to work in partnership with the city to do that. So that's my answer to that inquiry.
I'm just wondering if it's like with the local economy and Alcoma's feel like the council's focus now, like environmental sustainability seems to be not as critical of when we initiated this, not just at the local level, but also at the national level and the international level. And that's unfortunate because that all the metrics that we keep track of are indicating that we are definitely going in the wrong direction. And we haven't been able to convince, you know, the people who appointed us even to even engage. So it's unfortunate, but, and I really don't know what to do because yeah. So this is interesting that the budget, that the money that we have to dispense has been approved for this committee. So that's a good sign. So I think that that's a show of support. I don't know if, to me, I feel that the message that environmental sustainability is not a cost, but it's a way to save money, particularly in a long-term investment. So there's a cognitive dissonance perhaps, and maybe our job is to make that point. Maybe perhaps we could find data or information to demonstrate that investing in sustainability saves the city money, both in the short and long term. So perhaps maybe that's an exercise we could do, is to make there, because that seems to be the number one, in my opinion. I think that's from the city council's perspective, is we don't want to add any costs to the city that is considered less important than the local economy and jobs, etc. So maybe that's what I think might do the job, because I don't believe people only see expense. You know, when it looks at, well, I'm gonna invest in this, we're gonna, you know, improve the building, cost more money to build an energy efficient building, you know, we're gonna switch to electric vehicles, and it's a very big expense, and we have to have this infrastructure and that. But the reality is that we spend money to perpetuate the status quo, which is wrong-headed. And we think we'll stop spending money on things that we know is counterproductive, and then you will realize that net gain or net saving right off the bat. And I think your letter alludes to that. I think the letter makes that point, but I'm not sure it's getting through. And I think that may be a story or more concrete examples of how sustainability is in an economic way. And I know that there's two parts. To me, the money is one part, the cost. And the other part, I think, that the hard sell is convincing people to change lifestyles, to consider that we have to behave differently, that what's always been priorities now should be shifted for our own benefit. I guess it's like telling people to stop drinking or smoking or start exercising. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and we're asking to have those conversations, and we're not getting an opportunity to do that, which makes it hard for us to fulfill our mandate. So the question is, thanks for that, Andre. From Eric and or Mark, any direction or any thoughts on what we should do next?
You can't hear me, can you?
We can't hear you, Eric. Do you want me to, I can put the number in the chat so you can call? Do you have a cell phone on you? Okay, stand by.
Do you have anything while we're connecting with him?
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just, yeah, if there's no accountability for them to respond, then it's a little bit harder to force anything. And I wouldn't say we necessarily need to force something. It's just, yeah, how do we get a response when they're just clearly not responding? And I think I don't know how to resolve that, I guess.
Well, at the minimum, we can send another letter that says, please respond. That's like just a simple, please respond, right?
Or a phone call.
Or, yeah, Yeah,
You know, I think perhaps it's not malicious, I think perhaps, or intentional, perhaps it's just busy, there's lots of things going on, and we all know, we forget, right? And then all of a sudden, we don't think about this, so I think an informal, perhaps an informal approach or a less formal approach might get us some traction, and I think perhaps the tone or the fact that a politician with an election year coming up is put in a public debate in a sense, which this is, maybe it's, I don't know, it's something that they feel is maybe making them.
Oh, there we go. We got
The general population.
number.
Doesn't care.
it showing up.
thank you, Andre. We've got Eric here.
Eric, you want to say something, see if that works?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's very low. Give me a second here. I need to try to, come on, sit in, Trishala.
She just needs to
Oh, she's
disconnect,
got
we're
to
getting
disconnect.
feedback.
Okay. I just want to see if we can increase the volume here. It's very low.
Yeah, you guys are a bit quiet too.
Should just be able to disconnect it there, I think.
Here, say something, Eric.
Hello?
Beautiful.
You can-
Everybody,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, I mean, I agree with Mark that if there's no accountability, then maybe we're just, in a sense, wasting our time. But I just also wanted to respond to Andre and say that I can say firsthand at the federal government level that there is still a strong understanding of the importance of environmental sustainability, and actually within the context of the current whatever economic and political environment, the focus is that in a sense, it's of course more of an economic focus, but there's a focus on understanding that there is a financial value too gained from protecting the environment. And so there's a focus on sort of understanding the cost savings from natural infrastructure and this kind of thing. So I just want to make that point that in Canada, it is still seen, at least at the federal level, as important. In some senses, it's maybe even more important in a way, more connected to the economy than it was before, but maybe just municipally that isn't maybe recognized yet at this local municipal level. I don't know how we make that recognized. It's the same thing we've been trying to do. You know, we've been trying to do this for years. But it is still a priority, and it would be nice if that priority was sort of more visibly presented at the federal level. I think it's relatively quiet and behind the scenes, but it is still a priority, and maybe we can keep trying to make that point. And there's some sort of new language that people are using to help better tie the value of the environment to the economy that we can try to use. But I think, in a sense, it's a little bit out of our hands in this committee, unless the municipal government is kind of having that discussion even, and I don't know if they are or not.
So I have a question for you, Eric. And I think you've already I think answered it, but this is what I was going to ask you, which was, is there any type of public document or public statement or anything, which you've alluded to, there is not, but just to clarify, that does demonstrate, because I know just in my world, which is, you know, watching news or whatever, I don't have an inside track to anything the federal government is doing, but from being aware of current events and reading nationally recognized news sources, there does seem to still be this intention to get to net zero by 2050, perhaps not in the same way as we were doing 2 years ago, but perhaps more of a strategic way of including it into things without the carbon pricing that was happening before and that sort of thing. But there's no like formalized statement either through the Ministry of the Environment or Julie DeBruzen's office or anything like that that's made it really clear what the focus is and how a municipality can get on that bandwagon?
No, I don't think there is. Maybe I'll do a little bit of digging, but I think really the issue is that I think, well, I don't want to speak too out of place here, but I think that federal priorities I think they're rapidly evolving, and so putting things on paper is sort of I think it's just cautious at the moment, maybe. But internally, this is the messaging we're getting.
Okay. Thanks.
But it is unfortunate that it's not public. I agree.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
So the research I've done on it.
Yeah.
Is that, the target was set for 2050, they talked about it. And then nothing, to Eric's point, nothing's been put on paper or nothing's been put out there since. And then if you watch the news and things have been evolving differently in different areas and nothing's being said again back about that 2015 deadline. There's nothing more publicly to put out. As to Eric's point, there's been nothing else put out about it. It's just been kind of silent on it.
This is leading into the discussion, and so I think I'm gonna merge these two items together, if that's all right with everybody. This is leading into the discussion that is on our agenda about the global climate change action outlook, because this is exactly what I had hoped we would spend a wee bit of time talking about. In terms of how, as Andre said, and as Eric has, we're all aware, acutely aware, that certain conditions, federally speaking, or within our country, have led to decisions being made that are moving are intended to move our economy forward in a different way. But certainly the Minister of the Environment, if I have the term proper for Mr. Brusen, has stated very clearly that the country's, the federal government is not walking away from the 2050 target. They might be taking a different road to get there or whatever. So, let's combine these two things together. I still want to get a decision about what do I do about this letter? Do we follow up just simply with a could you please answer us? Quick, go back to that. But is there other things that anybody, Eric, do you have anything further you want to, I'll go back to you and then we'll go around the table. Do you have anything further you want to say on this more global, these global challenges? No? Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone else want to pick up on the discussion around?
Are you willing to make a phone call or email to start with to see whether or not?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes. I will.
I think that would be the first step.
Okay, but so if we agree then that we will do a follow-up, hey, please answer us, communication, then that we've resolved that issue. I'm not seeing anybody say, no, please don't do that. So I'll take that as the direction for there. And then anything further on, because we've naturally morphed into this conversation about what's happening around in the world. Anything further anybody wants to contribute on that topic? I'm just, Emily's looking to say something here. Andre first. And
Yeah. So not to be a stickler for order of operations, but discussion that we were going to give Trishala a couple of minutes.
Oh, we will. We'll go back to that.
It's a good catalyst for that global outlook discussion.
Yeah.
And it's something I think what you can do, because one of the mandates, as a reminder, of the Environmental Sustainability Committee is like education and capacity building within the community. And we're a unique committee because it's not just within corporate operations, like we're everywhere, right? Like we manage a fund for projects in the community, and we're also, trying to get, a corporate shift to uptake this more. And we have done things in the past. I go back to the parking reform webinar with Brent Tadarian that we hosted a couple of years ago, which was extremely well received by the community, as well as members of city staff and even I think a counselor or two, at the time as well. So, it's a good segue, but if we want, we can continue the goal piece first.
I wouldn't mind if we could do that, and then we're gonna come back, like, there's I apologize if it made it look like I was passing it over. I just thought that these two things were coming together in a conversation, so.
And I just want to add, like, in the letter itself, like, it does speak to, gotta pull it up here. The, Canada's new climate competitiveness strategy,
Mhm.
which does emphasize the importance of local action in positioning communities to thrive in that low carbon economy. Through infrastructure, planning, investment, policy integration, all of that ties into that economic resilience piece. So the letter did speak to that, which, Andre, you had mentioned about maybe putting together some information. In my mind's eye, I see possibly like an infographic that we could add to our annual sustainability report with some of those insights in that cell as we continue to try to sell the sustainability file. And I think that's a neat insight. There's a lot of data out there. There's other communities that you can look to. So those are some of my thoughts, just but over to the committee to share their 2 cents.
Go ahead, Trishelle.
For the climate change, the goal of 2025, 2050, sorry.
Yep.
Probably, I would not like to comment anything for now because I'm just trying to understand how everything is going on. And apart from that, what we can do as a committee from Sault Ste. Marie in terms of going ahead with the whole procedure would be more about understanding first that what exactly is going on and how we can make any amendments to that and then bring on any new changes. So that would be the first thing. And I would first like to go through whatever is happening into the city and what all are the projects going on. And apart from that, what are the new projects or new avenues we can open towards the goal we can reach, or how we can reach at least till then. So
So just to be clear, and I know you're still fairly new to the committee, so, every year we provide an update on corporate emissions and
Okay.
community emissions. That's coming out in March, so you'll be able to see those numbers that explain how we
Mhm.
are doing for our community target of net zero. It aligns with the federal target, but that 2050 net zero is for here, so that's within our jurisdiction. Every year as well, with those numbers, we put out a sustainability report, and that summarizes everything that we did as a community and a corporation the previous year, so 2025, as it pertains to that goal, and lays out the roadmap for what we have planned in 2026. You're gonna see a preliminary update for that in my PowerPoint today, some of the projects that I have on the go. But the numbers that you will see in March will provide you those figures.
yeah,
As was mentioned, we have a goal both at 2050, but we also have a preliminary target of reducing our corporate emissions by 10% from 2017 by 2030, and our community emissions by 5%. So those are those targets, and you'll see that when we share those numbers in March.
that's a great thing to be seeing in the next coming month.
Yep.
Apart from that, the only thing would be like what those emissions are actually happening and what are the ways they are doing in order to curb it. What are the ways and means of doing that?
And that sustainability report will speak
yeah,
to that
yeah. So I would
by each sector.
yes. So probably after going through that would be a good thing to comment on anything.
Sure.
And
Perhaps to that end,
Yep.
you could, when you have a few minutes, share as a reminder with all of us
Yep.
the the sustainability report from last year, which can speak to the results from, that you reported on last year, plus what the targets were.
Yep.
Which is aligned with this request we have in the letter to be undertaking the, updating the plan, because it's now after 5
Yes.
years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And along with that, which I've just been looking at, and thank you for reminding about it, is perhaps you could share the link for everyone, just to make it easier for everyone to find it, to Canada's climate competitiveness strategy. And it's under the budget. You can just Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
It's under the budget section, the federal government budget section, and there's on the economy building side. Thank you, Eric. On the economy building side, there's 4 targets there, which is nation building projects, the growth, supercharging growth, the climate competitive strategy, and increasing competition. So those are not all directly environment related, but they are the 4 key areas of direction that the federal government has announced. And there is some information here about this on the website about and deeper details into the climate competitive strategy. So I think it would be helpful. I know it's going to be certainly helpful for me to read that and to be more detail familiar with it.
Yep.
And that could help us in, perhaps making suggestions about how the community could align with that, or opportunities that might come our way. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Trishana, right now?
No, we just had the discussion about how we can bring in the activists that.
That'll come in a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute. Yeah, Andre?
Is there a way, I'm not sure if this is the right part of our meeting to talk about, but Sault Ste. Marie this year will be, when the coke ovens close, that will be the most significant environmental thing that's ever happened in this community in the last 100 years, and the impact that will have on our community, I think, is huge. And I believe there's a place to recognize that, because it is, when we look at the air quality and when we look at the energy of those coke ovens closing down, it's transformative. And I think that the committee needs to really recognize that, because it is, to me, huge and symbolic. It's the biggest thing that's happened as far as the air quality. No, I know it's not perfect. I know that there's some downsides to that, but I think, politically speaking, if our committee, as a representative of perhaps the city, recognizes the positive of that, I think it's huge in my mind. And when there was that documentary about Sault Ste. Marie done by, compared to Michigan, to Ontario, and going along, and he goes to Algoma Steel, and he shows the dust on the cars and the community in the West End and all that, and it's all gonna be gone. Like that's huge. And then the cancer rate and the pollution of it, but we need perhaps to look at that and find out when that's gonna happen, what the transition and the day that happens, and maybe partner with that and celebrate the amazing thing that's gonna do for us. And then we can focus on getting some political noise on that, perhaps, because I think, to me, that's like huge. And I feel that we need, as a committee, to recognize that loudly.
Good idea. Anyone else have anything to contribute on the global side that yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Just occurred to me something else I just remembered, is that there's also, I don't think this is a formal priority anywhere, although it might be, but there's a real movement towards what people are calling a One Health approach to assessing risk to people and communities. And basically this is just building off of what Andre just said, but it's a formalized sort of framework, I guess, of recognizing that there is a link between environmental health and human health. And this is like a research funding priority globally and in Canada. So looking up some of the One Health stuff might be useful to pull into any argument we're trying to make too.
Okay. thanks. Anybody else? All right. We got, that gives us some thing to chew on, if you will. Okay. So now we're gonna go back one item here, which, oops, I'm getting my pages confused. We're going to go back one item here.
Yeah.
And, which is, we're in section 8, and now, Trishala has some ideas about some event or an event or some events that we could potentially take a look at supporting or creating, et cetera, around the 2026 Earth Day, which is when? April what? 21st? Is it always April 21st?
Yeah.
It's April 21st. Okay.
It's not in there, Trishala, but I'll pull up your email here so you can read off of it.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
So it was about gathering the community in a way which makes, sorry, it's April 22nd.
April 22nd. Okay.
Which just makes a little impact in a way that I was not looking. We had a discussion and we had a prior discussion with Emily about how we can go ahead and what all could be a possible way of making Earth Day prominent in the community so that people around in the community gets to know about the Earth Day. And also if we are doing it, then why not we bring in people who are actually doing grassroots level work in the community all around, not only in Sault Ste. Marie, but also around. So in that way, I happened to do a little research on who all are the people working in, and the reason why we are having it is to have an open discussion also. Maybe it could be different forms of having it, like it could be online, or we can have a place where people can gather and have a discussion over it, and can have a little bit of knowledge sharing sessions and what exactly the activists or the people around are doing, and we can get some information out of it and people can join in that movement, and we can have a little kind of floor rolling in terms of what the other part of the group is doing in Sault Ste. Marie. Like I have also gone through some organizations like Sioux Naturalists. They're also doing very good work, and then they also gather around in certain times of the month, and they go around and do the bird watching or go around with the trails and do certain other things. So I'm sure there will be people around in the city who are actually from the background and of environmental sciences also, and they are also equally interested in the same path of going ahead. So that way, if we start with a discussion or a dialogue session first and then start gathering people, would be really nice. So these were the activists which we thought of, and
So Trishala, just to build a little bit off of what Trishala was saying, she did some research and has some preliminary people here. Rhonda Kirby, Tom Kirby, Jennifer Brousseau, Autumn Peltier, which a lot of folks in this area know who she is, Kirk Johnson, as well as the other piece we talked about, building off of the Canada's climate competitiveness strategy, was maybe bringing in someone from like a business, like the private sector, who works on sustainability and has quote unquote, been working on those business transformational changes. So it could even be like an Algoma-Seal, like someone from their company to talk about what they're doing from an environmental standpoint, but really both, speaking to an activist level, of course, but bringing in that, trying to bridge that business and sustainability piece, which still seems to be a bit of a disconnect that we're seeing, right? And the Canada's climate competitiveness strategy speaks to, we're going to do it, but we're really going to focus on not just these lofty goals, but those actual projects that lead to emissions reduction. So bringing in someone who would maybe people within this community would maybe understand and align with from that business perspective, who can prove kind of like those numbers that Andre was speaking about, like let's get those values, like the research that, do in fact prioritize the environment and show those cost saving initiatives. So these were just some preliminary names. I'm happy to share that with the committee and consider this as like the catalyst for more dialogue, for other ideas that people may have. You know, speakers, some of the things, and I know we talked about this a while ago, so sorry that it's taken so long, Trishala. But we talked about maybe doing like a TEDx style event at a local venue, like maybe partnering with Sioux College or Algoma University perhaps, to try to get a variety of people to attend an event. We had a lot of success. I think there was well over 100 people who attended the parking reform presentation with the city of Kingston and Brent Tadarian. Lots of interest in that. So it could even be like, you know, doing some research, maybe some stakeholdering about interest ideas. We could put together a survey, or we could just leverage the minds of this committee, honestly. Like, this is one of the things that we are responsible for, capacity building and education. But those were some of the ideas. And as you can see here, like Trishala has listed some like Canadian clothing brands like Ten Tree, you know, the Harvest Moon Society in Manitoba, like not just people like Autumn Pelletier, but businesses, Canadian businesses that are leading leaders in sustainability, and see if maybe they would be willing to come here to speak as a keynote or something for an Earth Day event. And you had said it was April 22nd? Yeah, yeah. So again, these are just some preliminary names. That's sort of the concept in a nutshell. There's usually some events taking place in and around Earth Day. By April 22nd, I think we can be hopeful that the weather will have improved a bit. So maybe something outside tied to maybe an activity in some green space. But we wanted to use this item on the agenda as an opportunity to get some ideas from committee members, and we can continue the conversation. But something like this would probably take a bit of planning. But it's, you know, being led by Trishala's idea. So I've lost Eric here, so I gotta go find him. Okay, there he is. Sorry, Trishala, I just wanted to emphasize a couple other points. If there's anything you want to add, please do.
No, I think we just made it proper.
Oh, no, just building off what you did.
Does the city, has there ever been, I'm gonna say in recent times, or is there a plan that you are aware of for the city municipality itself to recognize Earth Day through some?
Over the years that I've been in this role, I mean, granted, there was the pandemic years. So there's a nonprofit in Canada called Earth Day Canada, and they share marketing, social media materials that municipalities can post on their websites. You know, it's Earth Day, go do something, you know, like pick up garbage, etc. Previously, there used to be cleanups, you know, but there's steps to go through for that type of an activity, waivers, liability, etc. It's not impossible, but we need an ample runway to get that coordinated. There used to be something called a 20-minute makeover, where businesses within the community would have like 20 minutes. There was advertising, social media to like clean up around where they were. And then over the past couple of years, I've been collaborating with different partners, Algoma University, my colleagues at the Plaza, Clean North, even Cycling Club, LSSU, for World Water Day. And we've been putting on educational webinars. Last year we had an event, it's a global event, it's called Green Drinks. And that was at the Plaza for World Water Day. Unfortunately, it's in March, and World Water Day is in March, and the weather was really quite poor. But those have been some different activities, as well as Bike to Work Week that we've partnered with Algoma Public Health and the Sioux Cycling Club. But specifically for Earth Day, nothing beyond supporting, you know, community groups, private sector entities that want to do their own cleanups in that regard. But it's been a minute, so it could be an opportunity to do something, building off of this idea of Trishala's for this year.
Is there something you wanted to?
No, I think it's a good positive direction. I think I like with the, you know, do we put it on as the Environmental Sustainability Committee, put this on and talk about it. You know, we know there's other groups in the city that do things. You know, even promoting those things too,
Yeah.
but, you know, like to your point about having, you know, having some people come, have an event somewhere, and then you can also put it on YouTube, and doing that, I think is a positive, you know, a positive thing that we could be doing.
Can anybody else want to weigh in on this idea right now? Because I do have a suggestion, but I want to make sure. My suggestion is, Emily, that you and I have a conversation about how we might move this forward.
Yep.
And we might have to either, because we don't have another meeting of this committee until March.
We can make,
But what I'm saying is, but we can also make a we can make a committee of people that would include
Okay.
Charlotte, right, to try and drive this forward, things like that. So, but I wouldn't mind getting the chance, maybe later this week we could do that, just to talk directly with Emily about like how we could move it forward and what kind of structure we could put in place to accomplish what you're thinking about.
yeah, there's, okay, sure, we can take that offline. I mean, I would say there's two alternatives. One is, after this meeting, I reach out to the committee, kind of canvas, and because there are certainly people who aren't here today, we'd like to get some insights from,
Right.
and canvas ideas as well as prospective speakers, you know, within the network of this great committee. And then the other alternative would be to create a working group, which would be comprised of 2 committee members as well as 3 city staff.
Right. So that and a couple other ideas I have, I just would
Sure.
find, maybe we can even get time for it. We'll
Yep.
see when we finish and we could, okay, cool. Thanks for all that work you did, Trishella. That's awesome. All right, moving on to the staff,
So guess who gets to organize it?
moving on to the staff update. Emily.
Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay, so I wanted to provide a bit of an update on the Environmental Sustainability Committee funding, specifically the green, like the CDF, Community Development Fund, Green Initiatives Fund, which really is the lion's share of what we do as a committee. So last year we allocated 70,000 and change within the community towards projects. As you can see, the fund was established in just, you know, some historical reference here. The fund was established in 2021. And, you know, over the years, like we know we have a $50,000 budget every year, but we get extra money here and there, whether it's, you know, from a reserve in 2022 that was thrown in, like we got an extra like 43 or something, $40,000 and change. We also been getting monies allocated to us from Enbridge for their municipal climate incentive program. So any projects that Ontario municipalities do to reduce the consumption of natural gas, as well, there was some, you know, other monies from Enbridge that we received as well. So it's nice to see that here and there we get a little bit more that we can allocate towards projects. So as far as numbers go, it's pretty steady. Like 2024, we received the most applications. We've gone through a couple of refreshes last year as well for the Green Initiatives Fund. So the terms of reference hopefully will encourage more groups, specifically schools, grassroots organizations to apply. But we're pretty, you know, we're pretty steady on that, you know, like 10 to 11 amount. 50,000 is not is huge amount, but it's nice to see that it's, you know, that's kind of staying stable. So overall, we can be proud that we've, you know, allocated over $300,000 towards environmental projects within Sault Ste. Marie since the fund was started, and that's a nice figure to see. So just some additional insights here for last year. Typically, we see the majority of our applications come in the first quarter. I like to do a push every quarter, and I encourage members of the committee as well to please, you know, within your workings, etc., share and promote it. There's a great tab on the website now. It includes our video that we made about the Green Initiatives Fund, and it has an update on all the projects that we've allocated monies towards in the community with the terms of reference as well. So last year we approved 9 projects. They're listed here. The ones in yellow are still a work in progress, and exciting things, you know, community garden, floating wetland project, some retrofits, as well as a bike rack, etc. So these are just a refresh on what we allocated last year. Any questions about that? Okay, so I'm providing a bit of an outlook of what I've got in the hopper. We've been doing this over the past couple of years, but every January I ask the CAO for a list of capital projects so I can go through it and get a sense of, you know, different retrofits, you know, vehicle purchases, etc. So I'm working on that. But some of the things just to highlight here. So we, as you know, are working on that community efficiency financing program, the second phase, which is run into a bit of a snag on that one as it pertains to implementation. So I'm actually meeting with some private sector funders to discuss that. So hope is not completely lost on that project. The scope of it would be to develop a homegrown retrofit program in Sault Ste. Marie. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Last year, as you know, we received funding to develop a climate adaptation plan. The majority of my work to this point has really been focused on mitigation, so reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But as we know, climate change is twofold. So mitigation, reduction, but also adaptation to a changing climate and world, which honestly in the past couple of weeks has been very evident with the freezing and the thawing and the freezing and the thawing and all of the rain. So that's a project that I'm working on an RFP for that will go out. We have some preliminary work done for that. In 2020, we had a climate risk assessment completed in Sault Ste. Marie, and that sort of is like the baseline of a climate adaptation plan. So excited to see where that goes. Another project that I'm working on right now is our corporate EV charging costing study. RFP went out and we hired Power On Energy Solutions. They're an OPG company. And they were here actually yesterday and today doing their site visits. This project's due to be done by the end of April, and it essentially will inform future budget requests. We had a resolution passed in 2021 stating that all new light duty vehicles must be electric. But one of the hurdles to that has been having adequate charging infrastructure for those vehicles. So now we are going to have costs and we'll be able to make budget requests to make sure those are there. So when we get those EVs, you know, we can charge them. Transit solar roof project, that's a work in progress as well. Another big retrofit that I'm part of is our John Roads. We received $1 million last year for both energy efficiency retrofit updates to the facility, including a heat recovery unit, lighting, and LED, the roof replacement, as well as accessibility bleachers. And we're also working on LED lighting conversion for the outdoor clean TV field. Energy conservation and demand management plan is a little bit delayed, but hoping to get that live on the city website soon. Last year as well, you may recall that we completed 6 deep energy retrofit audits of our top emitting facilities. And that was, you know, accepted by council last year. But now the question remains, how are we going to pay for that? Because it's, you know, expensive, bringing these 6 facilities to net zero. So what we did last year is we put out an RFI for a deep energy retrofit accelerator to understand opportunities following something similar to the ESCO model, to using energy savings to pay for retrofits. So we're reviewing bids for that, and right now, so that'll give us a good foundation for the 2027 budget requests. Another project I'm really proud of, and I shared this at our last meeting, but we're still working towards this now, is the Ecological Corridor Project. The city partnered with Garden River First Nation, Algoma Highlands Conservancy, as well as Ontario Nature to develop an ecological corridor. The first part of this project was completed, and we are meeting with the partners to discuss future funding, and we'll be doing a presentation at the Canadian Institute of Forestry workshop here in March about that. And I'll say a thank you to Stevie Lutzi, who is new to the committee but not here today, who facilitated that connection. As an RPF, she is a member of the CIF. Another initiative that's on the goal, this is due to end in 2027, this project, is our Building to Net Zero. The city is one of 40 municipalities across Canada working on this initiative to help build a green development standard. That's the goal. So building beyond code. We're working on a business cases done, and now we're working through some training for Sault Ste. Marie construction partners. We're working closely with the Construction Association as well as the PSAB. And we're tying it into our Building Beyond Code workshop, which is taking place next month, which I'm going to speak to in the next slide. So again, the goal of this is to have some kind of a voluntary framework to encourage builders in Sault Ste. Marie to build greener. Another big one for this year is our 2025 sustainability report. As I mentioned earlier, this will include a review of all of the sustainability efforts done by the city in 25, an update on our community emissions and corporate emissions. This has to go to council, but then it'll come to the ESC in March for discussion. We are still working on that John Rhodes EV charger project, putting in 4 public chargers. And then I just shared some information here, mainly for interest, of the changes for common collection effective January 1. This pertains to recycling materials. Questions for this can be directed to the city's waste management team, but there is a link here for anyone who might be interested to learn more and some changes to what you can recycle in Ontario. So I'll tie my update up with this initiative. It ties into our BNZ project. So the goal of that is to develop a green development standard for building in Sault Ste. Marie. As part of our goal for net zero, the city has partnered with Enbridge to deliver a Building Beyond Code workshop on February 27th. This will be at the Delta. It has a luncheon, it's free. We've reached out to all the building community. We're working closely with the city's building department on this one. And it's to really expand knowledge on energy efficiency regulations. It's being facilitated by Gord Cook, who is the president of Building Knowledge Canada. It's really designed for a variety of stakeholders, including municipal staff, planners, city councilors, building inspectors, sustainability managers, and anyone who wants to stay ahead of Ontario's evolving energy efficiency regulation. It will have, insights on regs, building science principles, energy efficiency measures, case studies, as well as questions from industry experts. So there is a registration link here, and I am meeting with Enbridge to discuss some potential further sharing of this information to the community, like, a press release, maybe social media, but feel free to share it with your networks. Amy, looking at you, Mark, because that ties in a little bit to your work. So I know that was very fast paced, but I'm happy to answer any questions on what's cooking. Lots of retrofits as well. Again, I just went through the city's capital budget. It was a tight budget year, but there's still some LED lighting conversion, HVAC replacement, things of that nature that tie to our energy efficiency goals.
Anybody with questions on anything from Emily's report for her? Seeing none. Thank you for that, Emily. That is extremely informative. a little bit of, where we've been and then what's upcoming.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, so our next meeting is, Tuesday, March 3rd,
Mhm.
at 4 o'clock. I know we do have a hybrid meeting option, but as always, I will say, please, for everyone, it is really great when we can meet in person. It's, great dialogue that way. We can see each other, and have a good discussion and make some plans. The note here says city's annual sustainability, okay, report review. Will you have already presented it at that point, or are we seeing it before you present
I
it?
gotta go to council. So
That's what I thought. That's why I
Yeah.
thought. So when do you go to council with it
We're
then?
gonna go in February.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's
Okay.
just a matter.
Did you say we will or we won't on this stuff?
I share it to council first. Again, it's just, it's insights, it's data, right? It's just like, here's your data, these are our numbers,
Right,
and then I'll come and we can hash it out here.
Yeah.
Before, so the council is aware of the data, but not really like not discussed at council.
It might be, there might be questions, but it goes to them as information.
Oh, and you are going to do that at the meeting?
Correct.
And we're not gonna be aware of the data before you give it. Oh,
It'll be in the
order.
council agenda.
It'll be in the council.
When the
agenda.
council agenda package goes out, which I think is on Thursdays now, I would assume it would be in that, and then the meetings are on Monday.
And then
So-
so you would see it then, and then of course you
Yeah.
would see it in the agenda package
Yeah.
for this committee for more of a deep dive into the insights.
just that it's kind of good for us to know what's coming, so we can think about reacting to whatever the data.
Yeah.
You'll see it at council and then we'll discuss it here.
I mean, there's not too many meetings. I don't know when the next one is,
February 2nd or 13th, I can't remember.
well, there's one this coming Monday, if I'm not mistaken, but I might have that wrong.
Yeah, I think we're done for Jan, so I think it's February 2nd. And then
Okay.
there's one on February, it wouldn't be the 13th, it would be the
It's
21st.
3 weeks.
Or the
after.
22nd, because is it Family Day? and
Family Day is the 16th.
Okay, so I think somewhere around there.
Okay.
Let's look at a calendar.
Yeah, just one, at some point, one of the meetings in February that report will be presented. It'll be in the agenda package, which comes out on Thursdays for the Monday meeting.
23rd.
23rd. Okay, excellent. Eric, I saw your note. Thank you. Eric wrote a note that said he likes to be here in person. And that works for him when we have our 4 o'clock meetings. So
Yeah.
that's our normal time, and we weren't able to accommodate it this time, but that's our normal time is 4 o'clock, the first Tuesday of every second month, I believe. Okay, so I believe that brings us to a motion to adjourn. So I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andre. All right, be it resolved, this committee now adjourned. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much.
See you, Eric. Thank you, everyone.